Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
Slasher.
How are you?
I'm all right. Hoping to get updated on what's going on in the world of Flat Earth currently, as I spent the whole pre-show talking about microphones. So we'll see how we get on. Anything going on currently in Flat Earth? I'll jog memories with housekeeping questions. We will find out if that works. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
If the Earth was rotating under anything, then it should be rotating under everything, and I think we would notice when we fly east or west.
Or at all. Yeah, if Earth...
Or at all?
Yeah, well, anything. If you jumped up and down, you'd have Earth turning underneath you, according to their claim. Their claim is alleged to be backed by Coriolis deflection, which means that Earth's turning underneath stuff. Well, it isn't. You're right. We should, according to their rhetoric, notice, but we don't. There isn't any drift. Hello, John.
Hello. Who's drifting?
Nobody. I'm fishing for what people have been discussing over the weekend. Now, I've not kept up to date myself with Flat Earth Debate, as the case may be, looking at production aspects rather than material aspects of the show. Why? What have you been up to?
Dealing with sick kids.
Oh, drifting in and out, eh? Let's see if there's any more to drag out of the Discord server with a few more housekeeping questions. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Which one would that be?
Neil? He's obviously working, I guess. Who can blame him? But I don't allege any gravity, right? There's nothing in it for me to talk about relative density disequilibrium, if you want to talk about specific gravity, to talk about mass attracting mass, or to talk about the alleged bent, warping, fourth dimensional Einsteinian space-time. None of them serve any interest for me. I mean, am I wrong? What benefit do they serve us? I'm glad I'm putting this out as open questions. It's good that we can encourage conversation. Feel free to join if you're in the live audience.
You see we're Lite and G Plus, speak.
Say again, Neil.
I said, come on, Discord. You see we're Lite and G Plus, speak.
It's all right, Neil. You don't have to beg them to chat with us. It's all good.
Well, I would say that the moment that you try to find scientific evidence for something claimed to always happen, you're in a category error.
Yeah, if you're going to describe an effect that occurs always, you'd be in the realm of natural law. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Sure. And they'd often ascribe the word law when describing gravity incorrectly. But there's nobody here to claim it, so let's move on. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon formerly known as Earth curve. Tumbleweeds, complete tumbleweeds. Nobody's been out on the circuit. Nobody's been doing any debating. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, if the Earth were a sphere with a radius of 3,959 miles, then every distance to the horizon could be no more than 1.2 times the observer's eye height in feet squared. We do observe beyond these limitations, so the horizon can't be the leading edge of a sphere.
It's times the square root of the observer's height in feet.
Yeah, he said that, but then he added on squared afterwards. Yeah, other than adding on squared, you were correct. Yes, Black Swan. It's 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Which you did say. So for those listening in the audience, what we're talking about is Earth curve mathematics places a leading edge blocking your view below surface level, labelled as Earth curve or horizon, marked with an X in their mathematics if you see it visually, with an orthographic representation of their maths. Well, that has a limitation to your view at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's how their mathematics gives you what they call Earth curve. It was debunked in 2020 by an observation called the Black Swan, where we show the distance to the horizon is beyond the limitations of a geometric sphere edge radius 3959, with an alleged distance to horizon calculation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. It isn't. It was debunked in 2020. Black Swan. The horizon's not Earth curve. What about maybe just going out on a limb? Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning, guys.
Morning. Maybe molten iron core? Any evidence thereof? Who knows? Maybe someone's been debating about that over the weekend. Tumbleweeds. Do you guys jog along to this server to just sit in silence, or are you here to share your views on the nature of Earth? What's going on? What are you all doing here? I rely on you guys when I've been looking at mics all weekend.
Well, we're actually waiting for someone to come along and defend this shit. To be serious.
Everyone's scared of this server because I do have the ability to mute people in here. But, I mean, they've got so fearful of me that blaming the server is so insidious as a defense that even when I'm in politics, people will start blaming the mute button. That was one of the comments I dealt with along with yours, Jardo, about me having too much sibilance. From one of the commenters on Friday's video, we were in Discord. Like, mute button, insert nonsense here. Right? And I'm like, I don't have a mute button. I'm in a server where I've got no control over the mute button and they still want to moan about the mute button. So here, they're like, actually can directly say, well, you do have control of the mute button. Yeah, I do. In someone else's server that isn't mine, that I'm welcome to be in on a daily basis. But essentially running amok, doing whatever I like. In other words, I've got control of the mute button so I can control my show. But I will, to alleviate the pain of the people who don't want to come here, Jardo, just to speak to your point, regularly go into servers that I have no control over. But they still want to blame the mute button in there, which is highly amusing. And Q's right. He's been saying it recently. They're terrified of me. You kind of, I don't know, maybe you think you're deluding yourself when you get that impression. But when you hear someone like QE going, these people are terrified, you're like, yeah, they are. Hey, Brian. Someone who's actually probably been out debating Flat Earth over the weekend, I am in no doubt.
Hey Nathan, not too much, no. I just said I'd join, try and save this sinking ship. we have here on Monday.
Did you say I'm just smoking a joint on this sinking ship?
No, I said I joined to try
you
and
joined?
save this sinking ship we have got going on here.
What are you calling me a sinking ship? How dare you! What an outrage! Not a sinking ship. In looking at the production quality of the show, as opposed to stuff that I can cover on a Monday morning. So that's it. And there's me relying on you to be doing that. If you want something doing.
You know what the irony is about the whole thing with the mute button is that if one of them were to start speaking right now, it would be literally, you could hear a pin drop, because literally what we're doing is listening to every single word that you will say. So the whole mute button thing is just ridiculous. We want to hear what you're going to say. Every word of it. And we're going to love it. But they're still scared for some reason. It's weird.
Again, hats off to QE when he broke it down. I can't remember which show. It happened to be a show that they were critiquing me, Red Rhetoric and McToon. And in that instance, QE's pointing out that the actual use of the mute button is, number one, no different on any show that you go on. It's utilised to control a guest that's out of control. In other words, at the point that an opponent loses, at some point you have to step in and shut them up, because if you don't, they'll, what we call rumpus, the win. So the conclusion comes, the person who knows that they're absolutely stymied, they're defeated, can hear the start of their defeat being summarised, and they'll open their mic and just start talking straight through the top of somebody. Now at that point, as the producer of a show, you've got a choice. Allow them to destroy the win, or mute them. That's your choice. Now, because they know that the choice that's reasonable is to shut them up because it's unreasonable to destroy the win when their opponent summarises their victory, they can then call foul on the mute button. Oh, you only win because you've muted somebody. Cowards. Well, I'm just going to start calling it like it is. It's cowardice. Now, by coincidence, when this was originally aired by Red Rhetoric, that was how I summarised it back then. So before QE did that show, he discussed it with me. And I went, oh yeah, I remember that coming up 5, 6, however many years ago. And then I dug out the video I made about Red Rhetoric, with me being a crocodile in a pond going, just sitting around with your eyeballs above the water, not really doing much, looking lazy. And then some stork on the shore going, come up on the shore, come and debate me here, come and debate me here, it's only fair up here. And the crocodile going, I don't care. Eventually one of you idiots will come in this pond and I'll eat you. I don't care if it's you or someone else. But at some point I'm going to be eating stork. You going, oh, come up here where I can fly away easy. Okay. No. Why would I do that? You want me to give you the advantage, do you? Oh, bless. That was kind of my summary about it recently. Not recently, in recent years. And my attitude doesn't change. It's been more and more white noise when people do it. Oh, you've got a mute button. It just turns into white noise.
You can give them every advantage now, though. Every single advantage, and they still can't win.
But you can speak to that more than anybody. You can give them 20 minutes of ramble, in the case of Ruhif on McToon's channel with yourself, and within 25 seconds of you opening your mouth at all, you'll be muted and shut down because you're saying something that's devastating to their argument, which is to say that they will use a flat earth in anything that they put out. Therefore, you can concede everything that they put out because they will need a flat earth.
Yeah, that's why they were muting me. Yeah.
In my experience, they use the mute button the way they claim you do. That's been my experience with them. Not just my personal experience, but my experience even from listening to debates. When a flat earther is in a good position or does know their stuff and doesn't start claiming things like the AE map and things like that, when they have a flat earther like that, they will mute that flat earther immediately, or allow the moderator will allow the opponent to talk over the person, something, or to insult the person, ad homs. They allow that because that helps their side. So they are just projecting when they do that. they allow a lot of stuff we was never allowed up here. And if you think about the term you used a few minutes ago, rumpus, right? That term came from who? That term came from it was originally directed towards who? Towards Rumpus, because that's all he ever did. So a big part of I would say, for the first several years of the show, 80% of the muting you had to do was you muting Rumpus. Do you know what I mean? So if he wasn't on the show, they wouldn't even have that to try and use against you, if you understand what I mean.
You know what rumpus means, right?
Rumpus, talking over you.
Well, that's contextually how we use it in our lexicon of words, but the defined word...
Talking about, the cause. Oh, sorry, the original word. I thought you meant from no. Yeah, it's to cause a drama.
To cause a disturbance, a disturbance specifically. Yeah. Exactly. So the namesake he took was, as a person, as an individual, as a persona, was to cause a disturbance. that was his name. It's like Rumpus. What, to cause a disturbance? Well, yeah, the moment anything comes his way that's in any way detrimental to his position, his argument, he'll talk through it and cause a disturbance, because that's the tactic. And he basically trained a whole bunch of current anti-flat earthers how to behave like that. That all stemmed from his behaviour online towards Flurfs in that manner, with that namesake. Anyway, shout out to Chow Yun Cat. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. John 3:16. Thank you for the super chat. So yeah, they use that, as you say, as a defence, when in fact it's a tell. And it's only when someone else points it out that you suddenly become a bit more aware of that tell. Because when you tune it out because you've heard it so many times, you're not really thinking about why it's being used. But then, you were on that show, weren't you, Brian, with QE? When you went through Tune and Red Rhetoric?
Yeah, and Toon is a very corrupt character. Like, it was Toon's show that John had to sit through 25 minutes of an opening by Ruhif, and it was Toon's show that John got muted the minute when he got 3 words into a sentence. His first sentence after sitting there quiet for 25 minutes. That's Toon's show. Toon is an extremely corrupt character. His own character is corrupt. Is corrupt, if you understand what I mean. So he's in the snow saying, "Where's your mute button?" Out in the snow in Antarctica, shouting, "Where's your mute button, Nathan?" Blah blah blah. But where did he go to within the first 3 or 4 words of John's sentence? The mute button. John wasn't being abusive, wasn't doing anything. He just wasn't playing ball with their stupid game. And what happened? He muted him straight away. So it's pure projection on the part of these people. And, sorry, one other thing, Nathan. They're quite happy to have it happen to you in a debate. Like, if I had a moderator that was obviously biased on my side, I'd even point that out. It's like, that's not a fair debate, right? But they're quite happy to have moderators constantly biased on their side and on their side. They're quite happy to have that. Which, what good is that? You're not winning anything at that point. It's like an athlete taking steroids. You didn't win. The steroids won. You're not going to win.
No. People like that don't take that way. It's, no, I won by fair means or foul. The perceived victory was mine. The audience saw that I was the one speaking the most and laughing at you, therefore I won in the mind's eye of the audience. That is a victory. Now, in debating terms, you go, well, yeah, you're right, which is all they need, isn't it? A perceived facade of victory is enough for your average Joe who doesn't know what the real debate's happening or why you've been shut down.
They weren't laughing at me. I was laughing at them.
They
were not laughing at me.
Say again, one more time.
They weren't laughing. They were not laughing. I was.
All very telling. If you know what's going on.
Sorry.
If you know what's going on, it's very telling. If you don't, it's just you hear their rhetoric and their rhetoric alone. It's a smoke screen, isn't it?
I remember just what John was saying there. I remember John coming in, and you could even hear the smirk or the smile. Not smirk, but more of a smile. You could even hear him smile within his first sentence. And straight away, McToon and Ruiff went into a rage. Not a rage, but they went into a tizzy about it. Because they knew that whatever that Ruiff had just presented in the first 25 minutes meant absolutely nothing to John's point and what John was going to say. And there was no defence. And they realised at that point there was just no defence against what John was going to put forth. And they tried to hijack the situation as if he was being invited on to have their debate. It's like, no, this is his debate that he offered to all of them, that was accepted by Ruiff and to be put onto McToon's channel. It wasn't their debate that they decided the rules on. Right? He gave the rules very clearly, and he was throwing it out there for weeks, maybe more than maybe a couple of months before he got the actual debate. It wasn't it, John? You can have everything, right? My only position is the celestial dome or whatever. Do you remember the position?
I think my only two positions were you need a flat plane for the celestial sphere, and the horizon is not geometric, and I will concede everything else to you.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, that's the thing. And the whole 25 minutes that Ruiff tried to, and his presentation was wrong as well. And he knew it. He was adding things in that aren't part of celestial navigation. But it didn't matter. After 25 minutes of a presentation, and Ruiff is pretty concise, so that means there's a lot of stuff added in there in 25 minutes. Right? John just went, yeah, anyway, back to how you're going to need a flat plane for everything, and the horizon is not geometric. That was it. That was it. Straight away, he had to be muted. Go on, Chocolate.
Did he happen to use words in those 25 minutes? Because he was the one that said definitions of words are meaningless. So I don't know how that works out when you're using 25 minutes worth of words. Weird.
They're meaningless to him when you're saying them. They're not meaningless when he's saying them. You know. So it's stupid statement to make, no doubt about it. But it's basically a defence against having to define words and agree on words. Socratic method.
Yeah. That's awesome. That checks out. That seems fair.
It pretty much demonstrated how you use flat Earth angle measurements to find your position on Earth relative to the celestial sphere flat plane model diagram. And then he got angry when I pointed out that he was using a flat plane, and him and McToon rumpused me.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. He did the same thing to me from Antarctica. Yeah, well, a pattern seems to be emerging, it seems. They don't like it when you point out that they need a flat Earth for their arguments, do they? That annoys them greatly.
Well, there's a second pattern. Sorry, John. Go on.
I was just saying it infuriates them. It would me too if I had to, concede the argument to make an argument.
Did you want to add something, Flat Earth Ranger? If not, go ahead, Brian.
Say again?
Did you want to add something?
No, was I lighting up?
Yeah. Just pop yourself on mute if you didn't want to. It's fine if you just accidentally off mute. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. There was a second pattern. There's a second pattern, though. When you said there's a pattern emerging, that wasn't the pattern I was thinking of. It was Hume, muting people. Hume is one of these point the fingers at people. Is one of these people that points the fingers left, right, and centre. And he hates the people he points the fingers at. But he displays the very behaviour he's trying to lay on them. And I don't even know if it's all intentional. Do you know, it's like as if he hates elements of himself or something.
Well, that's true of everybody. You're just tapping into certain psychology, certain basic psychological principles, yeah? That, you're going to project out that you hate the most about yourself onto others. So in this instance, his need to have to control the show with the mute button in that respect is a direct projection of his own inability to retain control when someone like John is debating if when there's an argument that comes, he needs control over that and has to mute people. So that presumably is what's the word? Something that you'd loathe about yourself. Therefore, you'd want to project it out onto someone else. Well, Nathan uses a mute button. All right, okay. Oh, you mean I produce a show? And I should be, apologising for not allowing people to completely destroy a point? I won't go over utilisation of the mute button as I did at the beginning of the show, but that's something to criticise me of? I don't think so. So why would it be so heavily criticised by Toon specifically? Pure projection.
I can guarantee you that he would mute his opponent 90% of the time if he could get away with it. Because he doesn't want to hear anything you have to say. He wants to hear none of what you have to say. He's only interested in whatever rhetoric, and that's all he has that he wants to push.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can get like that sometimes, because I've got an audience and I want them to hear the winning arguments. And you get a bit like it as well, Brian. We will repeat our winning point and then feel aggrieved when the second repetition of our already summarised point gets interrupted. It's like, no, I want this victory dance to last a bit longer. I've won. Now, I don't want that to end because you just want to hand wave it immediately. I want it reiterating twice. Heaven forbid you should interrupt it.
No, I agree. I'm not saying that I don't want to hear my point to finality and my winning point to finality. The difference is that he doesn't have a winning point, and he's not even willing to address that. You know what I mean?
Oh, he does have a winning point. It's just not his. He's got a winning.
Yeah, he doesn't have the one he wants, though. He doesn't have the point he wants. Right? Good. Like that. That's true, John. But he doesn't have the point he wants. He doesn't have a winning point for the side he wants, but he's not willing to address that.
And that's too subtle for the audience. So the reason John's had a little in-joke aside with Brian in terms of his opponent having the winning point, but it not being his win, that's the rock and a hard place example where, as a believer in a globe, there will be certain points that you must concede in terms of Earth measurement, flat in nature, like on screen now with the equatorial plane. You will have to utilise that as a globe believer. So you're going to need a flat Earth for that. Now, at the point that you relinquish that, you're relinquishing a premise that is fundamental to your globe belief. So you're relinquishing your globe because you're relinquishing some of the base measurements that require a flat Earth. So their winning point, if you want to start saying, well, what's on screen now with you projecting out angles from hell to the equatorial tangent plane that's locally flat on the surface that's been created through Haversine conversion based on measurements that are from the equatorial plane inside a globe that doesn't exist yet. All of those will require a baseline flat Earth measurement. Now, people can deny it and say, oh, are we measuring it? Well, yeah, at the point that you deny that this is a measurement, you deny what the globe uses as their base premise. Not just denying that it's a measurement, you're denying the globe's use of that measurement when you deny it as a globe believer. Now, don't get me wrong, some flatties are out there who'd like to deny this as a measurement also. There's one in the chat now, Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum, who likes to deny this as a measurement. Like, deny it all you like. I like to use where the globers use it as a measurement and use that against them. It's like taking their own dagger off them and sticking it in them. But you can deny it all you like. It's just a base fundamental principle for the measurement structure we use when measuring Earth, regardless of your conversion. So the reason John's laughing to conclude with Brian is to say that, well, when Toon uses this argument, he's using what he perceives to be a win when he uses flat Earth angle measurements. It's the thing that drove him nuts in Antarctica. What about your 10K challenge measurements is what you heard on Toon's recording if you go and listen to the in-between bits where he's not shouting at me to verbally mute me by just non-stop chanting. Well, occasionally he takes breath and you can hear me saying 10K. That's about all you hear from me, which is enough to send him nuts because he knows that what I'm summarising, I've summarised it literally 100 times to him, is the fact that that's a flat Earth prerequisite. It's a measurement of a flat Earth. It's an elevation angle that he starts his process with to challenge flat Earthers to show how his flat Earth angle measurements work on a flat Earth. That'll drive them nuts. So the win is a flat Earth win, whether they like it or not. I know that was a lot of over-explanation, but sometimes an in-joke needs that.
Well, what's funny is the two places they'll go to when addressing reality. The first place they'll go to will be some form of 7/6 or greater than 7/6, or normally greater than 7/6, because 7/6 doesn't actually solve the problem. It's actually more mathematical. They need greater than 7/6 for the majority of the time in reality, right? But what's that doing? That's unbending their globe, right? It's making the globe into some form of a constant arc length that is bent at different degrees depending on where they need the horizon to be, right? The second thing they'll do is
Do you mind
invoke a
not dying
tangent
on
plane.
my show? Do you mind not
Sorry.
choking to death?
I couldn't get to the mute button. It was just my lungs give me bother. And I'll choke to death if I want on your show. I'll go off the mute button and I'll choke away. But long story short, the second thing they'll do was something that's completely contradictory to the first thing, right? It depends. It doesn't really matter what order they do it in, whether they bring this first or the greater than 7/6 first. Is they'll invoke a tangent plane. So, and the whole purpose of this is to reference some actual geometric point off out in the distance that's directly below, vertically below somewhere, right? So they're invoking the unbending of their globe, flattening out of their globe, and a tangent plane. Now, the two of them can't work together because one is actually straight and the other one is curved, but they're still invoking both of them simultaneously. And they're doing this to reference a point that within what they're putting forth has to be out in the middle of heliocentric outer space somewhere. It's not on their globe, this geometric point that they're trying to reference to in the distance, the GP point. So that's what they need to do. So the first two things they need to do is flatten everything out and then reference a point that's off out in heliocentric outer space to try and claim that they're living on a geometric sphere. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, they're working from a world that has a back-engineered flat Earth prerequisite model that they have the ability to ignore the base measurements of. It seems like the last 300 years has just been spent, in rhetoric or rhetorical terms, building distance between what's on screen now with you in the centre of the sphere that's representative of two angle measuring protractors from horizon to horizon in two completely different locations. You can create this system, but then create a globe from it. But if you can put distance between the two and pretend like the end result of all of those back engineerings from flat planes and angles is the starting point, that is to say the end result they call the globe is the only starting point to consider, then when you start digging into that perceived starting point, you can start creating the steps that put the distance between you and the flat plane measurement, and you can make yourself feel clever. Look at all these marvellous steps that I've learned about the obvious starting point of a globe that we must have by presupposition. That's the starting point, right? So as you get more and more perceived to be smart, as you learn how the globe's created, you're getting closer and closer to us going, you're going to need a flat Earth for that, though, aren't you? Yeah, that's a flat Earth you're measuring, though, isn't it? So the smarter they get to perceive themselves to be, the closer they are to us calling them numpties. The enlightened flat Earthers, that is.
Yeah, see, look, you know what it is? Think about what they've been saying for years. Think about it. What's one of their main statements against us for years? Flat Earthers can't do maths or don't understand maths. Why were they saying that for? Well, they were so stuck on that, right, which wasn't true and isn't true. Because the same person, two of the same people could have gone to the same school and gotten the same results, right? Them and a flat earther from high school or university, whatever, when it comes to maths. So it's not correct to say that flat earthers can't do maths, because that's complete falsehood, right? That would mean the flat earthers don't know anything. Right? That was part of the reason why they said it, but it's not true. But why do they continue to say it? Because flat earthers don't decide that the Earth is a globe as step one. But what they must do to make it a globe is start out measuring the Earth as a horizontal plane with topography above and below it, and GP points off in a straight line in the distance, they're sometimes thousands of miles away, and circles of equal altitude that are completely flat, monstrous areas of the Earth that you're treating as completely flat, to get geometric positions, blah, 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 blah. We don't do all that and then convert it into a globe mathematically. So because we don't do that, we supposedly don't know maths.
Well, it's the other way around, because we didn't start with it being a globe by absolute certitude and back calculating the flatness that is inconsequential when it's locally flat measured, right? Because we knew already that we were starting at a globe when we started looking more in depth about how the globe works. We just don't add the sentence from a flat Earth. Whereas you're saying, well, when you start with a flat Earth to create the globe in the way that you phrased it, but they don't, they work backwards from our perspective, but in their mind, they're working forwards from the point that they already know that they're standing on a spherical surface, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I do, yeah.
Go on, John.
Not necessarily. They use a flat plane. They know that it's flat. And then they use calculations that don't work to claim that it's the flat plane that's wrong, not their calculation. And then they say they know it's not flat because, and they'll give you a mathematical calculation.
Yeah.
That statement they've said started years ago. The Earth is too big to measure curve. That's literally them telling you we're measuring it flat. Otherwise, we'd never make a mistake.
Yeah, but they're apologising for why they wouldn't be measuring it as it is in their mind. So because it is curved in their mind, they start by saying, well, it's so big that I can't be measuring the curve I know it is at this point when I measure it locally flat. But that's starting from the supposition of sphericity to begin with and saying I'm smart for understanding the more in-depth flatness of the curve that I know it is when I measure it flat. Do you see what I mean? They're working from the standpoint of sphericity to begin with, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Just let me get that last sentence out. It makes perfect sense because that's how they've been indoctrinated to believe you are from the outset. So back earlier in debate, we started accusing people of working from presupposition. That is to say, you're begging the question. Well, yeah, because they automatically assume Earth's a sphere in all instances.
Sorry about that. I was over enthusiastic because
okay.
it involved Jaron and the bowlers. Well, he's a bowler as well, but it's like you know, the latest one is you just don't understand large spheres. Why are they saying that? Right? When they're measuring everything as a whole people. Why are they saying that? Right? You don't know? Because they know that they are treating the Earth as a monstrous sphere that could have a few flat parts on it because they're so big, which is not correct with the mathematics. But that's what they need to do. So they're giving themselves permission to beg the question, to take flat plane measurements and then mathematically turn them into some kind of arc length or some kind of a point on a sphere, and then tell you that you don't understand large spheres. That's what they're trying to do.
Sorry, John.
Well, that's where I laugh because they have to know it's a flat plane first before they can do any of this.
Yeah, but knowing it is painful when we point it out as the starting point rather than the end point. That's what I'm driving at.
Yes, but how they overcome that pain is through the use of greater than 7/6R, right, and tangent planes.
Nah.
Right?
By
So they go
accusing me
into
of
a
having a mute
mathematical
button.
world.
No. It's accusing me. That's what they can do when it's Toon telling Jaron. But when it's Toon telling me, it's where's the guns? You've got a mute button. It's true.
That's true, yeah.
Right, well, Toon went and told Jaron, and Jaron just lapped it up like a good little doggy. Yes, lap, tangent plane, yes. I come along and tell Jaron, you can't have a point out in space that's a ground position on the end of a tangent plane. Further to that, we're measuring Earth's surface, and tangents are single points with a dangling globe below that we're not measuring. So no, right? So that's me peeing in the face of a tangent plane that is asserted to a conciliatory ex-flatty named Jaron Campanella when dealing with the deceit of somebody that alleges that ground positions are out in space on tangent planes with dangling, redundant, not used globes beneath the plane that you are measuring. But my point here is that if you can view that as an end point, that's to say you've definitely got the globe, and the way you're calculating, I can't even help myself from saying it the way it is, the tangent plane with dangling dingleberry Earth beneath it is the end of your process, rather than you start by measuring the angles off the plane surface of Earth and create the globe from those measurements of the plane surface of Earth, to then have a globe to imagine yourself standing on the outside edge of when you convert the points measured on the plane surface of Earth. You can see that the plane surface of Earth is the starting point, not the awkward ending point that needs to, oh, well, it's only because Earth's so big, to justify why you're measuring it that way. In other words, it's their globe is the starting point, flat Earth measurements an awkward end point that we have to do and just need to because it's easier or whatever they justify it with, because it's just so big, but definitely a starting point of a globe that we have to utilise no matter what, versus us saying, well, you're just measuring a flat Earth. There's no ifs, buts or maybes about it, you're just measuring Earth flat.
Yeah, it's amazing that they can do that in their own heads. You know, start stretching the horizon away. You know what I mean? Like an elastic band. We just stretch this horizon off out into the distance where it can't be, you know, geometrically for my paradigm. And then after we've done that, which is obviously within my paradigm an arc length still, no matter what way I try and twist or turn it, because I'm unbending the globe, that I'm basically creating a mathematically bigger globe by doing this. So it's still an arc length. But either way, I'm going to ignore all that and just say now it's a tangent plane. You know what I mean? So they mathematically contradict themselves when they're invoking these two things, regardless of whether they go tangent plane first and greater than 7/6 or second or whichever.
This Jaron Campanella guy is... Go ahead, Chocolate. You just off mute accidentally, Chocolate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Brian, it's not just mathematically.
Oh God, it's horrendous, Chocolate. We can't hear you.
All right, forget.
Just Mike's just too bad a train wreck, I'm afraid. It was anyway. So Jaron, it would seem, is disclaiming left and right in various different posts that people keep sending me. This is something I have had over the weekend. It might have even been Chocolate that sent this. But one of his most recent posts lets me know that he knows the actual score because of the way he's carefully phrasing things. But he's still alluding to anti-flat Earth rhetoric as a former flatty, but in a way that says, you know Earth's measured flat, but want to tell an audience how the globe is the best way of explaining these things. Like, this is controlled opposition behaviour in the true sense of the word. I'll just read out this one passage. There's a whole bunch of passages, but this one particular passage caught my eye. This is a quote from Jaron Campanella. Quote, "The Earth, when mapped on a sphere or globe, accounts for and predicts all sunrise and sunset times and angles exactly 100% for every location on Earth for every day of the year and years into the past or future. The flat Earth map, open brackets, now falsified, close brackets, has never, in capitals, been able to account for one sunrise or sunset time and angle in any location on Earth." Okay? There's a little bit more. I won't go on with the endless paragraphs because it goes on and on and on. But you get the general gist, right? Okay, so there's a few things in there that tells me, first, the opener of that paragraph, the Earth when mapped on a sphere or globe. What do you mean the Earth when mapped on globe? Yeah, when mapped onto a globe means when you take the systems that we derive from elevation angles to the stars for systems like latitude and longitude and map them onto a sphere. Yeah. So Jaren, at a base level, just by that phraseology, understands that we're mapping onto the sphere. Well, shouldn't we be taking our precision measurements from a sphere? If it is a sphere, yeah, we would be, but we're not. But in his phraseology, it tells me that he knows the score, but still wants to tell people the globe works best. You're like, okay. I mean, I can admire the beauty of the church's heliocentric version of mapping the stars into a world moving around the sun at the centre of that system mathematically. I can admire the beauty of that. But that doesn't mean, as Jaren's alluding to his audience, that that's suddenly the correct way of viewing the world. No. It's the Roman Catholics' explanation for the stars' movements in a unified system called heliocentrism. So what? You're saying because it's the best we've got, that that's what we should now accept and roll over? No, it seems like Jaren's been put into place to lead flat earthers back onto the ball as being the best explanation. Now, what does that also tell me? If that's his purpose in being here, like he's instrumental and intentional in his purpose for doing so, then that's the best that humanity have, which I'd already came to the conclusion of, if there is some greater power in the mix leading Jaren to do as he is doing. Well, if there isn't, and it's just that is through study of Jaren and he's wise and has done the due diligence and primary source research to come to the conclusion that the best humanity has done is heliocentrism, then perhaps I might agree with him. It just doesn't change and alter the fact that Earth is still a flat surface that we've been measuring for quite some time. And in spite of the church's best efforts to give us a system that's quite out of the box in terms of its rhetorical nature when described in reification terms, of being on a ball moving around the sun, in absurd terms, it does actually mathematically do quite a good job of explaining where the stars will be when it comes to epicycles. It bettered them.
Well,
go ahead.
Not really.
Well, it does a pretty good job.
Fault.
It's just not perfect.
No, it doesn't.
Let's just do a quick shout-out.
So
you can criticise me after my shout-out to Vidali. Just want to say thanks for the help destroying Globers in debate. Can't wait for the book. We'll come back to the book. Thank you for the super chat, Vidali. Go ahead, Brian.
Instead of being able to comment on what you were saying about Jaren, now I have to address this thing again. No, it does not. Right? For every single observation, they must pre-assume a flat stationary plane at vernal equinox. How does that fit a globe?
It's crap. I agree.
Yeah, right.
I didn't say it was good.
That's
not what I said. Don't misconstrue what I've said. The best we've got, or the best humanity's come up with to date, that's not saying it's good. Saying I could admire its mathematical eloquence isn't also saying it's good or right, is it? It's just saying that's the best we've done.
What a book said. That doesn't mean it's correct.
Hold on a minute. Oh, yeah, it doesn't mean it's correct, and you're never on a sphere in it.
No, and you're absolutely right. You need a flat plane at vernal equinox to describe it in any way, shape, or form. It's not very good.
Yeah, see, I want to comment on what you said about Jaren Campanella, but you keep on pushing this thing. I don't know why you keep pushing. It's just something some bozo wrote in the book, right? That's what happened. Sorry, it's not correct, because if it was correct, right, then it would be, but it's not. Think about the players involved. Kepler. It's not correct. If that was correct, if what you're saying was, I'm just talking about mathematically, if that was mathematically correct, there'd be no need for the equatorial plane to be extended into the celestial plane, right, and made stationary at vernal equinox. There'd be no need for that.
It's ludicrous. It mathematically cannot function in physical terms. You're talking about turning a plane that you're measuring into a ball that moves around a light that you've measured the angles off a plane with. It's utterly absurd in terms of, now I understand how it functions, the ability for me to mentally reify it into something that it actually exists as in physical terms isn't possible. So if you want me to decry it, it's utterly ludicrous and incapable of reification mentally by me. In terms of it actually physically existing, I don't know if there's words to describe how beyond absurd it actually is. There you go.
Well, Try and make it work without your hammer sign. See if you're little.
You can't. You don't have the globe to have the points without haversign. You don't have the globe to have the points to project the land to pretend you're standing on it.
Yeah, you're screwed with your little agenda there.
I haven't got an agenda. I never had one. Every time I do this, it's been the same for years, about 5 years. Whenever I say I admire the beauty of some of the mathematics that describe heliocentric motion, for its quirky, out of the box, it doesn't matter what caveats I get. Well, if you're going to say it works, did I say that? No.
Pardon me. Haversign is still with respect to a flat plane. That's the thing it's distorting.
Yes. Yeah, it's projecting out points, the angles through which are actually projected onto the celestial sphere. So 10th would be the first to correct this when we discuss this. He's like, well, no, the pizza slice, the PZX triangle, doesn't actually relate to a globe at all. You can project those points back down. That's haversign conversion. But what you're actually describing, and again, this is to speak to Brian's point about the plane that is required at vernal equinox, that projected angle, the 3 points aren't points on the globe surface. They're points on the perspective view that's created when you create a celestial hemisphere. So you're projecting 3 points up onto that. That's what gives you your bendy. What do they call them? The non-triangle triangles. The pizza slice.
Spherical triangles. Yeah,
spherical triangles. Yeah. PZX triangles, right? But that triangle isn't in relation to the globe surface. It's in relation to the dome of the heavens, if you want to call it that, after mathematical reification. But those are the points.
Well, they're using it two ways, but it's always from the center of the globe, from the equatorial plane, as vernal equinox. It's 3 different angles that gives them 3 points in the sky that they can then make 3 circles out of, or 3 arcs out of, and then they can project those arcs back, let's say diminish them in size, and project them back onto a sphere arc that they're placing in between where the angles are taken from and the mathematical celestial dome. Now, they also can do it where they just project them onto the surface of the sphere without even addressing the celestials. They can also do that because they can do it, because they've been back engineering it from the celestial dome for so long. They can project them just from the center point out to points on the surface of a sphere. Because Adam was saying that the Habersign formula is just a way of projecting points on the surface of a sphere from a center flat plane. That's what it is. That's one of the purposes of it. It's how they convert from run line distances to great circle routes. Why is it we all hear about great circle routes for years? Because, great circle routes. Yeah, but that's an after calculation, after the actual route and distance has happened. They then need to take that distance and route and make it fit on a globe. And after they've done all that mathematically, they'll ask you, how do you explain it? Explain what? Do you know what I mean? How do you explain the great circle routes? Explain what? They only exist because you mathematically made it happen.
Well, when they ask me that, I'll say, what do you mean, the great circles with respect to a flat plane? Those great circles.
Exactly.
Have you actually got the clip of you at Toon? Or the number? And we're going to have a quick listen to it. Anybody know where that is? Can anybody dig that out?
John's debate with Ruth.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where. I couldn't even. I don't have it anyway. John might have it.
It's probably a bit late in the live show, but if we do manage to grab hold of that in a pinch, it'd be interesting to go back and have a listen to it. It's been such a long time.
Well, that's what initially started the review process that we're on now with videos we review, was that video, and we never reviewed it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, you'll have to dig it out. Can you remember the title of it? Maybe someone in the Discord server will dig it out for us. Who knows?
I'll go find it.
Probably on Toon's channel.
Well, it would be. It's him hosting it, right? If someone can find it, we'll cover it now. Although I've asked for it 5 minutes before the end of a typical live hour that we do. But we might cover it.
But it'll only end in 5 minutes if you make it end in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I like to keep a schedule. The other thing...
Anyway.
I do want to do
Go on,
is address that super chat. Someone mentioned the book again, and it's because Adam's the guy who's actually doing the typing. There's a term that you give to that particular person, stenographer or something like.
Typist.
I don't want to call him a typist. He's not a bleeding receptionist and secretary. He's not my PA.
That's the way you've positioned it. Go on.
Yeah, well, okay. When I was a recruitment consultant, I had my own administrator, and what my administrator would do would be type up letters that I gave her. I'd be like, "Can you write this letter to this person? Can you send this payslip out to this client, etc., etc." Right? That's an administrator, but Adam's more than an administrator, far, far more than an administrator. To the point where on QE show the other day, he took the stance of saying, "I am one of the authors." And you're like, well, I can understand how he would view it, given the amount of work and input he has on what he's actually typing. And he's got the original draft on one side of the page, the new hotness, fresh, ready to be put into print on the left-hand side of his page, or the vice versa, or whatever I just said. And, he's going through it with it's a lot of actual graft that Adam's putting in, yeah? But without him, unfortunately, things grind to a halt, and he's been ill the last few days. That and just before last weekend, I had him running around getting me a microphone. So, once Adam's back and tickety-boo and feeling healthy, hopefully we'll finish off there's only one more chapter to do. And it's a chapter that we haven't got to make any amendments for. It's the flights chapter, right? It's come about since we started writing the book. So it's all fresh. Now, in that respect, if Adam wants an author title, hopefully he'll be helping author that, because it doesn't exist yet. But that's it. It's so close to being done. Now, if we could actually get it done, as in Adam's well and QE's not being a fusspot, I don't see why we can't put maybe 1 or 2 more days' work in and get it out to the publisher.
Can I just relay what you actually said? That Adam's a typist, not an author, and QE's a fusspot. They'll get the job done.
Stop.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Get on with it. It's already basically written, with the exception of one chapter.
Adam the authorship at all, and QE's only a pain in the neck, supposedly. But they better get this job done, because we're running out of time. What
QE does, is raise the standards, right? But that can take few words, but they're very important words. Now, I can demean them because they're irritating and cause huge amounts of work when he says 3 or 4 words, like, "No, this is awful." and then he'll just shut up and suddenly you're into rewriting out bleeding chapter.
Yeah, can you cite it? That's irritating. When you hear ballers making the claim constantly, and then he asks you to cite their claim, that can be a pain in the butt. You know what I mean?
Isn't that what he said to you last time we were literally writing it and you wanted something to go in? And he kept on saying, "Well, can you cite it?" Was that you?
Yeah. Yeah. And I finally went and got it. That's the reason we have...
seismology, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I can waffle on into an entire chapter that might have taken a day to write, refine, and then edit, do all the punctuation. Then it goes in front of QE and he'll say something like, "Well, where's the citation for this?" You're like, well, it's me. It's artistic license. I can waffle on. And you'll get that. And then you're like, does this mean we're going to end up spending another 2 days? Yeah, it does, yeah. So I can say QE's irritating. Now, that is to demean his extremely valuable input in basically anything he does. But I've got to put those disclaimers in, because me moaning about it isn't going to change how valuable it is, which is it's the same with Adam, right? I can't diminish how valuable the input of everybody who's contributed to my book, but I'd still want to take ownership of it as my book. Why wouldn't I?
Too late, Oakley. Too late. You're after throwing them under the bus. You can't pull them back out now when they're all damaged. It's done, man.
No, I'm not throwing anybody under. I am extremely grateful for the help I get. I will not deny it.
The debate with Ruhif, I guess it wasn't good enough globe proof. I cannot find it.
Oh, that's a bummer. Oh, is that it? Nathan, I believe this is the correct video. Refracted curvature, John versus Ruhif in celestial navigation debate. No timestamps, sorry.
No.
Go on, John.
The first 25 minutes is all we need. The flat Earth is already proven in the first 25 minutes.
Can you just tell me if it's the right video?
And I never
click on it. Is this the right video?
Yeah, you can just start it.
With so many holiday
We've got an advert. Once the advert finishes, I'll just play it and you can tell me if it's the right video or not. Oh, 2 adverts, both unskippable. We'll get there.
It was about 2 hours total, I think. The first 30 minutes is the only part that matters. The rest of it's them just rumpusing me.
It all matters.
Such that the light coming from the star is arriving at the observer and at the GP in parallel lines.
You're going to need a flat earth for that. Straight away. I just picked a random bit. Where do you get rumpused? That's the bit I want to hear. Where do you start talking about? The 20-minute mark?
The 25-minute mark, right around there.
Miles and 24,000 point on that circle. So in this example on screen...
Circles of equal altitude. You're going to need a flat earth for that. This is great. Equal altitude? What, like no curve?
Let's say the GP of the star is over Louisiana. We need to find all the points on the surface that are, for example, 1,000 nautical miles away from the GP. So,
nautical miles? You're going to need a flat earth for that. Oh, dear. Oh, you forget how funny it is when they're presenting stuff that just needs flat earth, flat earth, flat earth, flat earth, left and right. It's everywhere. All roads lead to a flat earth, don't they?
The question is...
Now I know why you were laughing at them.
What formula am I going to use? The Haversine formula. All right, the Haversine formula determines the great circle distance between 2 points on a sphere, given their longitudes and latitudes. Important in navigation, it is a special case of a more general formula in spherical trigonometry, the law of Haversines.
That was an admittance. See the way he went, the Haversine formula. That was an admittance that he had to convert whatever he originally had to fit on a globe.
Yeah, but like I said,
yeah,
but if you picture this from a mentality that he thinks he's being smart because he's working backwards from a globe that already exists to the Haversine, yeah? You're pointing out that you go from a flat plane and then need the conversion process to create the 3 points on the celestial sphere on an imagined 3959 radius sphere below it with the same angle points projected through it from within. Well, we've just gone through this, but we've gone through it from the starting point of flat measurement to conversion with Haversine. He thinks he's starting with spherical, and when he makes his dun 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 because it's to a sphere, he thinks that's because it's starting at that point. It isn't, and he's, like I say, trying to pass that out in a way that makes it seem smart to know how the sphere works. But it's not how the sphere works, it's how it's conjured into existence.
Well, because the Haversine works with all sizes of spheres, the whole point of it is to give you distances, an arc distance between points on a sphere. They would have to mathematically kind of give the celestial dome or whatever an actual size to do that, if you understand what I mean. They can't be treating the celestial bodies as infinite distances away and be treating it as a sphere that they're going to use. Right. Do you know what I mean? You understand what I mean, John, don't you?
Yes.
I don't.
That's why they put you in hell and you're projecting points onto an Earth, right? An Earth sphere. They've made the outside celestial dome their Earth in this example. So they're actually calculating from the center of Earth to the celestial sphere. But they're using the Earth, and then they're putting the Earth as the celestial sphere afterwards. It's mind-numbing.
Yes, exactly. They're actually giving the celestial sphere a 3959 radius. Is what they're actually doing.
Yes, that's a much better way of describing what I was trying to explain earlier when I said that they're putting the points of the PZX triangle onto the celestial sphere. But you've based it a lot better. They're turning those points into the globe at 3959, but it's still the same points. They're points projected from angles projected from the surface up to those three individualistic points that you could then describe as a pizza slice that's bending through a PZX spherical triangle. But then they're actually saying that with a 3959 radius is the surface. It's not, it's the star positions. So they're making the celestial sphere the globe. That's a much better way of putting it.
Relates the sides and angles of spherical triangles. In fact, more correctly, I'm going to be using the inverse Haversine formula. So the Haversine formula gives you the distance between two known points, where the inverse Haversine, you give it a latitude and a longitude.
Why do you need anything if you've already got known distances? It's just to create the ball, right?
And
yes,
then you tell
that's
it
all he's doing right now.
Yeah, you already know the distance. That's the only purpose of this Haversine is the magic trick. It's just a magic trick. It's like, if you've got known distances, what do you need it for?
Distance and a bearing, and it will tell you the coordinates of where you will end up. Now, I would like to plot my circles in Google Earth, but the built-in circle tool on Google Earth actually uses a slightly different formula called the Vincenti formula, which takes into account the slight oblateness of the Earth. But the correct formula for celestial navigation is the Haversine, so I ended up writing some Python code to draw my circles for me.
Pause a second. Thank you. It's something I've been saying for a long while, is that the oblate spheroid has nothing got to do with their globe geometrically. When they want to reference celestial navigation or astronomy, right, they're referencing a perfect sphere because they have to when they want to use the latitude and longitude grid. The oblate spheroid is only a pre-assumption of centrifugal force creating a wider pre-assumption of rotation, and centrifugal force creating a wider equatorial circumference than polar circumference. But when it comes to them having to actually make it work somewhat with mathematics, they've got to use the Haversine formula, which treats their globe as a perfect sphere. So they're in contradiction. What he just said there is a complete contradiction. And showing that, come on, John.
You're right, but they use the southern discrepancies of the celestial dome model, that system, its discrepancies. They equate that to it being a big, kind of chubby in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, so they throw that in there, even though they don't even relate to each other.
Yeah, because they can't, because the latitude and longitude grid can't work under those circumstances, because it means that the degrees of let's say, degrees of distance along the longitude lines have to change between the latitudes, right? And the amount of circumference of the latitude then has to also change. So their equator can't be 21,600 nautical miles around, as they try and claim it is, because at that point, the conversion between nautical and statute miles doesn't work for them. So they have to have a different conversion. And this is the problem. This is why when it comes to actually trying to plot positions, they avoid all of that and go straight to a perfect sphere with the Haversine formula. Because the Haversine formula doesn't work well with, or maybe not at all, I would say, with the oblate spheroid. So, like, this is just like, we're doing a lot of talking about it, but really what's going on is they're using different equations to convert reality into different versions of their paradigm. That's really all that's going on there.
Here's what it looks like in Google Earth. And where these circles intersect is my position fix. So this is it, zoomed right in, just so we can see how tightly these three circles intersect. So my position fix, which looks to be accurate.
Radii?
No, he's also got the distances marked in nautical miles.
Yeah, they're only linear.
Yes.
Nautical miles are only linear. Sorry, Nathan.
So he's using a flat Earth distance linear in nature and describing curved radii. Yes.
2 nautical miles is 31 degrees, 11.1 minutes south, 15 degrees, 36.9 minutes east. And just to finish things up, I'll repeat the questions I had for my opponent during the...
Good job, because I heard nothing but John interrupting you constantly. Very irritating, John. Why couldn't you control yourself, John?
He was making all my points for me. I didn't need to speak.
This presentation. Question 1. What is the geometry that justifies dip correction on a flat Earth? Question.
So dip correction? Dip to what?
May I answer that?
Sure.
Dip correction is an angle measurement from eye level to where surface level appears to meet the sky. It necessitates a flat Earth, not a sphere.
Yeah, that's a flat Earth prerequisite. You'll need a flat Earth to correct to or from. With dip correction, that's flat Earth in every sense. And what kind of idiot asks a question like that?
Question 2.
But see, this is the thing. Sorry, Nathan, before you press play. What he's about to do is invoke 7 over 6R, because that becomes very close to what the dip would be. Because dip itself is corrupted. The dip correction itself is corrupted. Still doesn't fit a globe. It doesn't match the globe. It doesn't even match the 7 over 6R. The 7 over 6R distance to the horizon and point does come very close to it, but it's not exactly the same. But the thing about the dip is that the proof that the dip is completely corrupted, right? I've used it over time because it drives the borders mad.
Hold on. I love how we've been Jedi mind trick, because in the question, Q1, what is the geometry that justifies dip correction on a flat Earth? Sorry, dip what? What's the word missing there? Is there a word missing there?
To the horizon?
No, after the word dip. Dip what?
Correction.
Angle.
Dip angle? Who said that?
Me, that was my point.
Go ahead, John.
Yes.
Was it John?
I'll go after John.
Who said angle?
Yeah,
was it you that said
point.
angle, John?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes. Dip angle correction is eye level, a horizontal plane, to a parallel point where surface level, parallel plane, appears to meet the sky.
Right.
At no point are you
angle.
ever describing a sphere. It's an angle with respect to a flat plane.
Exactly. So why does it just say dip correction? You mean dip angle? Yeah, with
not
surface level and eye level being the correction for the angle. It can only be a straight line is the point. It's an angle.
Not exactly, no. It's messed with. The dip correction has been messed with, because what you're doing is you're taking a line within the paradigm that they're referencing. It's a line coming from your eyes down to where you see the horizon. What they're doing is giving the horizon an actual distance based off of their eye height, right? And they're mathematically invoking a dip correction via that, making the horizon a refracted 7 over 6R horizon, and those calculations will be very close to the actual dip calculations.
You've done it again.
No, hang on. I'm trying to correct you on something here. I know what I'm talking about. Just leave me go through it, right? What they're trying to do is hijack the dip correction via the use of 7 over 6R and claimed refracted BS horizon, right, for them. That's how they try and hijack the dip correction. Now, it doesn't match the dip correction. It comes very close to it. But the dip correction itself has been corrupted over time. It's not correct, right? But it doesn't matter, because because that is not the final correction to the elevation angle. The final correction to the elevation angle is the site reduction, which treats sea level as your horizontal. It removes dip and it removes this claimed celestial refraction, which is another heap of rubbish, right? It removes both those things to give you accuracy. So your best accuracy will be with sea level, mean sea level, let's just say, as your horizontal, and the removing of claimed celestial refraction. So they remove the dip and they remove claimed celestial refraction, and they get best accuracy. So that tells you alone. That alone tells you that the dip correction is corrupted.
Fine.
Right. that's the nonsense of their claim. He just asked me how I justify dip correction on a flat Earth.
Yes and no, because he's about to invoke 706R.
He didn't. He did not. He did not do that yet. He just asked me to justify it. I don't have to go into that at that moment.
And even if he does,
he brings his claim up. It's nice to know that, but I don't need to know that to point out that it's an angle measurement between two flat planes.
Why is there a refraction correction in the almanac if angles require straight lines?
Sorry, those two things aren't connected, right? It's nothing to do with the almanac when you say angles require straight lines. Yeah? So it's not like they're connected in any way. This stupid question too. Why is there a fraction correction in the almanac? Perfectly reasonable question to ask if you don't know the answer, but not connected to, consequentially subject to, angles requiring straight lines. No. Straight lines meeting at a vertex are angles, and everything else that isn't that aren't angles. So it's not if angles require straight lines. No, angles are straight lines, Roofy. You dumbass.
Well, do you see what's going on there with them? Do you see the way he said, why do we need to invoke refraction? He's actually, if angles are straight lines, or whatever he said. I'd like to hear it again, but you probably won't go back. The thing is that he's basically bringing a tangent, right, to a refracted globe's edge. That's what he's doing at that point, because he's invoking a 7/6R globe's edge, which is not a geometric point. So he's bringing a tangent from the eye down to what would be a globe's edge, and then bringing that tangent up to his eye line mathematically. And that's how he's... But no, that doesn't work, right? The whole lot doesn't work, but that's what he's trying to do, right? When the celestial, just 1 second, I just want to say this one part. The dip correction and the celestial and plain celestial refraction, which is not refraction, that rubbish, that's directly connected. The two of them help each other, and they both help people like Gruhif in the overall. Right? Well, they don't help them, but they allow people like Gruhif to think that they're helping them, right? Because that's why when they want to have accuracy, they need to remove both of those. Why do they need to remove them? Because they only actually get in the way of reality. That's why.
All reference to a flat plane.
Well, yeah, right. But he never makes that claim. Just with what he said, it's on its face stupid. Like he never got, like there's no need to go that far because he can't make that claim from the point he just made because it's stupid.
Sure, but I'm glad that with Brian being the if QE was here, we don't anticipate, but I'm glad he has. He's preemptively undoing these arguments, which is where he is going. And Brian's been around enough of Ruhif to know exactly why he's laying these foundations. So I don't mind Brian doing it. I also don't mind you summarising that he hasn't done that. Perfectly reasonable.
Question 3. What is the geometry that justifies 69 miles per degree on a flat Earth?
69 per degree is on a flat Earth. That's what it is. It's an angle measurement on a flat Earth. Why is he phrasing flat Earth prerequisites as questions? Roofy, you think you're being sly? This is so sad. If I phrase my defeat like it's a question, no one will notice. It'll be like it's not a defeat. Brilliant, Roof. You're so dumb. It does amuse me greatly. Any comment on that? Or should we just move straight on?
He's just trying to hijack a load of flat plane stuff. That's what he's trying to do. You know, how does you, John, you would say, how would this flat plane measurement work on your flat plane? That's what he's really asking, isn't it?
Yes, that's what he's asking me. And that's why I said I ain't gotta explain to him how it works on the flat plane that is already being utilized within the question.
Yeah, just for the audience's benefit, just in case, as Q put it, you can't fog a mirror and you need this explaining to you, right? Here's what's on screen for my Hangout, right? Now imagine that you're using Polaris as the angle measurement and you're getting your degree for your latitude from Polaris as you back away from it, right? The derivation of 1 degree for every 69 nautical miles is based on that angle measurement that you've created that system with. So what you're saying is, how does this flat Earth elevation angle measurement principle that when measured on a flat Earth and converted to a useful convention work on a flat Earth? That's his question, isn't it? Just say yes so we can move
Essentially, yes. Essentially, yes. After he's used a bent tangent.
You don't anticipate. Right, let's move on to question 4.
And question 4, on what map is my opponent drawing his circles of equal altitude?
A flat one.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Damn it. I couldn't get to the mic quick enough. Yeah. A flat map.
And that'd be all of them. Or conversely, any of them.
Hey, that is Ruhif's, and he's off screen now. So you see 2 of me for a second.
You'd like me to turn my camera on?
Sure. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So your position. Let's see. Can you send it to me, and I will.
Hang on.
I will
Just look on the last frame or the second last frame of the video, I guess.
Well, can you? So that I can type it. I don't want to.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want to copy paste. So.
I mean, at the start of the show, I was talking about microphones and stuff and me concerning myself with the production quality of the show in general, right? And I do faff and I do fuss over it and perhaps talk about it more than is justified. But when it comes to moments like this, I'm squeezing the arms of my chair because as far as I can see, it looks like he's got earphones in, although it is a tiny little display, so I can't quite tell if he's monitoring his own sound. But at the point that he himself is 10x quieter than his guest, Ruhif, just frustrates me to all hell. I mean, I can sort it out after the fact here with compressors and boosting volume and making it sound reasonably the same, but it just frustrates me. Aren't they monitoring their own show? Do they not care? Now, heaven forbid that this shouldn't get 21,000 views. But there we go. It just peeves me that this crap will go to the top of the lists. Now, I know it's because of censorship for the subject matter, but it does mean that literally the worst possible produced quality rises to the top like it's the cream.
The actual position, I'll put it in the chat. Make sure it's the right one here. Yep.
Oh, yeah. This part right here, they wanted to make it their challenge, right? And they wanted me to calculate my position on Earth using flat Earth elevation angle measurements to justify my capacity to do this process. And I told them, I got tired of them sending me messages, so I said, a flat earther will be doing it. Don't you worry. Ruhif was that flat earther. They just wouldn't let me point that out.
Negative 31.15 and 15.5.
There you go.
So I'll put that in to right here. This is an application of the Haversine formula, as you mentioned. So we'll see how far you're.
Other than to say hello, have you said a single word yet? We're 28 minutes in, almost 29.
Position is from the correct answer. So do I have to type that? All right, hold on.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Deeply sorry.
We got 31 and 11.1 minutes.
I couldn't stop laughing. I had myself on mute, but I laughed the entire time.
Well, you're just sat there as the guest that's not said anything yet. Almost half an hour into the show, and he's just muttering about whatever.
15, 36.9.
Pause a second. Just very quickly, do you remember me pointing out earlier where if they could just basically turn off us for as 99% of the show they would. This is the result. This is a result of that. For like the best part of a half an hour, John hasn't said one word. The two of them are now. It was Ruhif for 25 minutes, and now it's him and Ruhif. They're quite happy to have John say nothing and just go on with their rhetoric and then claim victory when John hasn't even said anything yet.
There it is. 11 kilometers off.
Eh,
Not bad.
that's about 6 nautical miles.
Yeah. And so I will show you, let's see here. Here is the, on a globe, this is what it looks like. These points here are the GPs of each of the 3 stars. So there it is, off of the coast of South Africa there. And so there's the 3rd. So that's what it looks like in, here you go. And similar to yours, there's just a tiny little crooked hat. So there you go. All right, so you are a mere 11 kilometers off, 6 nautical miles about. So, all right.
Disappointed, McToon. Disappointed.
Just you wanted to be closer?
Yeah, at least.
Why can't you stay organized? I've experienced this myself, and it's called chronic impulse control, where you prioritize.
I live. At least I live. I'm going to survive.
You survive. So good for that. All right. So now it is, so I would call that a success. The captain of the ship is happy, and you will get back to port.
Great job. That was excellent. Good job.
All right, John, I'll read the same thing to you. John, you have secured work on a ship. In your application, you wrote that you are skilled in celestial navigation. You have been at sea for a while. There have been a storm for a few days. The electronics were damaged in the storm, and the ship's location is unknown. The captain remembers your application, so has handed you a sextant and asked you to get the position. Nothing matters other than getting the accurate fix. Lives are on the line. Get it wrong, you get lost at sea and you die.
Yeah, like I said when I put this challenge out there, I concede he got it. Good job. Like, but the problem is he invoked my model 5 times when he was doing it.
John,
that was 11 seconds before interruption.
This is your chance to do the fix. This is your chance to do the fix, to get the fix.
I understand.
Nothing matters.
He invoked my model.
Nothing.
He invoked my model
John,
5 times. The celestial sphere is
nothing matters other than getting the fix. Lives are on the line. Get it wrong, you get lost at sea and you die. This is your chance to present how to do celestial navigation for Flat Earth as you agreed in the debate challenge, where he chose the topic. The topic is to show us.
To that. Did I? No, you took my challenge. Not the other way around, doofus.
Yep.
So you got 11 seconds before interruption from Toon taking control after giving Ruhif approximately 30 minutes unimpeded. Then
and helping Ruhif.
Huh?
And helping Ruhif. At the end, he helped Ruhif at the end of his presentation.
Okay. So what I can hear, just want to hear it one more time, right? Just listen to the tone of Toon's voice.
Model.
Nothing.
My model
John.
5 times. The celestial sphere is
nothing matters other than getting the fix. Lives are on the line. Get it wrong, you get lost at sea and you die. This is your chance to present how to do celestial navigation for Flat Earth as you agreed in the debate challenge, where he chose the topic. The topic.
As he lies, you can hear the voice box tighten. Can you hear it? As he knows he's lying about what you've agreed to, so that he can seem to be in control of what you will say. After 10 seconds, just over, of unimpeded talk.
Is to show how celestial navigation works for your model. So go right ahead.
Right, and he did
stole
that
my
when he invoked the celestial sphere model.
So this is your model. This is your chance to show how your model works.
He did that. He did that. He demonstrated admirably.
No, this isn't about his presentation. Now, this is your chance to show how Flat Earth does this. Go ahead.
I'm not arguing with how it was done. I'm pointing out that he used a flat plane model to do it.
This is your chance to show how the angles that I gave you that are specific to you, how that works, and the position that that your ship is at. So it's a different set of angles.
Well, as my stipulation goes, I said I would concede to everything, and I would limit my rebuttals to that required a flat plane, and that contradicts the celestial sphere model. So I'd like to answer his questions that he asked.
Okay, but first of all, that's a concession that it doesn't work on flat Earth.
Yeah,
you're conceding that it doesn't work on flat Earth.
That's incorrect. You used the flat Earth model, and
Go
you
ahead.
invoked it 5 times.
This is your chance, John.
So within, what, minute and a half of you opening your mouth, it's 2v1 with them dictating to you what you're going to talk about. Within 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, tops.
Yeah, never responding to anything I actually say. They've never responded to anything I actually said, not once.
Well, I'm going to go back in a minute and listen to exactly that.
Set of angles.
Well, as my stipulation goes, I said I would concede to everything, and I would limit my rebuttals to that required a flat plane, and that contradicts the celestial sphere model. So I'd like to answer his questions that he asked.
So you're saying that needs a flat Earth? That's what's been put to Toon, as it's him that's now taken the reins. And you've said, okay, I've addressed you. Now I want to address the questions I've been asked, specifically. Let's see how Toon reacts.
Okay, but first of all, that's a concession that it doesn't work on flat Earth.
Yeah,
you're conceding that it doesn't work on flat Earth.
That's incorrect.
You just literally said you'll need a flat Earth for that and described it with respect to the celestial sphere. And they've ignored it and hand-waved it and both sat on him at the same time within 1 minute of him opening his mouth. Is this your, what, half-hour presentation time that you're getting, John, is it? I take it.
Obviously, this is my chance to speak, right? You used the flat Earth model.
Yeah, put it to him again.
And
Go
you
ahead.
invoked it 5 times.
This is your chance, John.
He was unimpeded. Response to him saying, no, you're conceding you can't do that on a flat Earth. Your response, you're using a flat Earth. Toon's response, go ahead, this is your chance. You were completely unimpeded, they heard you. You cowards.
John, your chance to show how it works. Go ahead.
Well,
Your
he
chance.
just demonstrated.
No. This is your chance.
Got 3 words out. And what were you going to be saying in those 3 words, John? Reiterating the thing that you just said 5 seconds earlier that he completely ignored? And he's immediately into talking through you.
Can I say it now? Why would I have to go through this whole process again when Ruhif just demonstrated how it worked on a flat plane?
Chance to show you have different angles.
No, so when I pressed play, after Toon telling his guest to go ahead, we're hearing Toon's voice and John's voice at the same time. Yeah? Now, heaven forbid, if this was my show, yeah, and it was Toon doing that to one of my guests, for example, or to me, I'd have to shut him up. Yeah? But Toon, on his own show, has just said, go ahead, end quote, Toon, and we're still hearing Toon's voice, aren't we?
Did.
Different angles that I gave you. So it's your chance to show how it
Was it not his chance to talk when you said, quote, go ahead, Toon? Or is this just the verbal mute button and the bullying where you'll be telling him what he's going to be saying tactic? Go ahead, while I now tell you and insist on what you will be saying. You total and utter coward.
works for.
He just utilized it on a flat plane. Like, why Why would I need to? He just used my model to demonstrate.
No,
this.
I'm
What are
sorry.
you talking about?
There we go. He was in the middle of a sentence and Toon's immediately utilising his mute button while John takes his victory, or attempts to, for a second time. But not without Toon interrupting him. He's just reiterating to you, Toon, that he used his, quote, model. That vernacular probably wouldn't fly these days. This is quite some time ago. But he's using a flat earth for it. Go ahead, John.
No, I wouldn't say model nowadays. I'd say he used a flat earth diagram and flat earth maps, flat earth conventions, and flat earth ideas. At no point were we ever on a sphere for any of this.
Yeah, nice that when you say it, it's unimpeded, but for the fact that Toon's hearing it from you in his presence, but prefers to hear the sound of his own voice while you're attempting to say it now for the third time.
This is your chance to show how it works for...
Really? What, with you talking as you're telling him again that it's his chance? Oh, it's only his chance to do as you say he needs to say. Right, Toon, you pathetic coward. Can't cope with a man actually saying what he wants to say. He'll be hearing your voice if he says what he wants to say. No, you can be telling him what he should be saying and dictating to him what he will be saying, but for the fact that you'll be talking if he isn't saying those words, right, Toon? What a coward.
For flat earth, I gave you different angle measurements.
Oh, you gave them him, did you? Oh, you can only use the things you handed to him, Toon, right? You pathetic weasel.
For you to show how it works, so go right ahead.
He used the celestial sphere model, which is
this is not about me, John.
It's not.
So was that 4 seconds before both of them are interrupting him? After inviting him to talk, 4 seconds. Just hear that again.
Chance to show how it works for flat earth. I gave you different angle measurements.
So you told him it's his chance. Now you're giving him a caveat after telling him basically, go, this is your opportunity. It's the third time you've told him to talk.
For you to show how it works, so go right ahead.
So go right ahead is the end of the caveats and permission to speak. Let's count it off in seconds. I'm going to press play now.
He used the celestial sphere model, which
this is not about me, John.
That was 3 seconds before he was interrupted. You guys are cowards. Ruhif, you're a coward. Toon, you're a coward. You can't cope. So what is it? You guys were claiming I got a mute button? You can't cope with more than 3 seconds. 3 seconds!
It's not.
It is.
Yeah, Brian.
Sorry, I was just going to say, this is John's opportunity to fulfill McToon and Ruhif's challenge after they accepted John's challenge. This is the most annoying thing for me. They accepted John. John had this challenge out there. It wasn't wishy-washy. He had it out there for weeks, maybe possibly months. This exact challenge, right? He was very clear on what it was. They tried to hijack that and make it into something that he accepted. He didn't accept anything. They accepted his challenge. Then they tried to hijack it and repurpose it into their challenge. Now they're asking John how come he's not fulfilling the challenge that they put out there. The neck of these people. It was John's challenge that he accepted.
We already discussed this. It's projection, isn't it? Their inability to cope with John's challenge turns into it's our challenge John can't cope with. Pure, unadulterated projection, Brian.
A celestial sphere model is a flat plane model.
John, you agreed that you will show how it...
Now we're hearing Toon raising his voice and shouting down the opponent who's approximately had 20 seconds of unimpeded speech thus far. So we're hearing Toon shout through you, John. How lovely.
Works on flat Earth. That's the agreement that you agreed to, John. So if you don't show...
So the agreement that John agreed to when laying down a challenge that you accepted regarding him and his positioning with regards to your use of a flat earth that he's now reiterating and getting shut down over. I see. No, you're just liars, aren't you? As Brian just put it, repurposed and repositioned the situation that you found yourself in, so that you are in perceivable control by the audience's perspective. That's it. It's sad, these tactics that they must employ.
And he did that admirably.
It's not about his presentation. It's about you showing how it works. Now, if you're agreeing with him, I want you to understand that he used the radius of the Earth multiple times. And if you are agreeing with him that you need the radius of the Earth, then you are completely ditching.
Is it just me, or is this the host now basically taking over completely when the flat earthers having an opportunity to talk? We're getting 90% host and about 10% with impedance. That's to say, him and his other guest Ruhiv talking through him. But it's mostly 90% Toon.
Flat Earth, 100% throwing it away, and I do appreciate that.
No,
John.
that's incorrect. You're missing it.
Oh, he didn't use the radius of the Earth?
That was another 3 seconds. He said, no, that's incorrect, took breath and started to expand upon his disagreement, and is immediately interrupted by Toon again. Immediately. 3 seconds.
Pause a second, Nathan. I just want to state that I've never... Sorry, is that you, John? Did John want to say something ahead of me? I'll go ahead. I'll be quick.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to state that I've yet to hear Toon on a debating platform where he's not allowed to overtalk the opponent completely. He's either in a position where he's the moderator or he's in charge of it, he's overtalking someone, or there's a moderator that allows him to do it. I have never heard him debate anyone where he wasn't allowed. Now, he did debate Flatside, right? But there wasn't a moderator because it was Flatside and him. So if there's no moderator, there's no one to tell you to be quiet, if you understand what I mean. So because it was he streamed it and Flatside streamed it, I think, if I remember how it went. But the point is that I don't ever hear him in a position where a moderator goes, sorry, you must be quiet while your opponent speaks, and put him on mute or anything. I don't hear that. That happened in our debate. We were both put on mute because he was over-talking me. So because the moderator was biased, but he couldn't deny that he was over-talking me, and basically being abusive, he had to mute both of us, which was not the thing to do, was to mute the fellow who's over talking.
Yeah. What you're saying is, if you were to interrupt him, you'd be whipped. Bad, naughty, punished. If he overtalks you too much, then both of you get whipped.
Yes, that's how it works.
Radius the Earth were applied incorrectly because he was contradicting the model that he was using to get
so you said, but this is not a chance for you to say words about his demonstration. This is a chance for you to show how your demonstration works, John.
With almost none of John's words being unimpeded, I still understand that he's suggesting that Ruhiv's done it on his behalf. That's what he's put to Toon at least twice. Now, don't get me wrong, Toon's attempted to impede that coming through, but I think I'm pretty clear that that's what's been put across. Is anybody else, we've got a whole panel of people here, that is unclear what refractive curvature has put back to Toon at this point? Anybody unclear? He's saying...
I'm certainly not. It's very clear.
Saying he's done it for me already, that he needed a flat earth for it. Is anybody unclear? Because Toon's making out like, no, you need to do something. You haven't done anything. But yet he's had it at least twice, albeit with Toon trying to impede it. Is it in his mind, because he's tried to impede it, it hasn't actually come? If I go la, 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 la through the top of it, it didn't really come. You telling me that you've already presented the flat plane, Ruhiv had to utilise it. Therefore, his is mine, essentially. That's not unclear to anybody, except Toon, who's obviously mentally deranged or stupid. Because it's pretty clear what's been put to him thus far, and it satisfies that which he's now asking beyond that. Well, you need to give me something. He has, Toon.
You need to show how the measurements work
in a flat plane model.
No, he didn't. John, this is nothing to do...
So we're only ever getting your response with Toon talking through it, I'm afraid now, John. You know? And him disagreeing straight after your impeded point comes through the top of Toon talking through your, go ahead, your turn to talk, this is your opportunity. We're just getting what you say with Toon on top of it, unfortunately, it seems.
about his presentation.
The celestial sphere is a flat plane model.
100%.
It seems on this platform, Toon, you as a flat earther, John's just getting him and you at the same time. Is that how it's reasonable after half an hour Ruhif's presentation completely unimpeded? I jokingly pointed out that there was so many horrible interjections from John the whole time, like saying you need a flat earth for that, which he could have done. He didn't. But now it's his opportunity. He's had, what, 2 or 3 3-second periods to talk.
About your presentation. You agreed to show how it worked on flat earth. That's the stipulation of this.
And he did that admirably.
No,
I told you I was going to make all the concessions you wanted.
To show.
Sorry, John, again, it's too busy telling you it's your opportunity through the top of you actually trying to make true what you've offered him via Ruhif as your conduit. Him telling you it's your opportunity over the top of you attempting to do that is reasonable behaviour in Toon's mind. Sorry, this is your mute button, by the way, Toon. You're muting him, is what you're doing. Yeah? It's not like the half an hour presentation that the biased presentation that you got from your friend here, because that's basically what he is, your mate. Yeah? So your mate gets mate treatment and your enemy gets 3 seconds of unimpeded airtime.
How it
demonstrated it on a flat plane.
No, I'm sorry, he did not do that.
He used the celestial sphere model 5 times.
The celestial sphere is a sphere.
And I missed quite a bit of it.
Again, he used the celestial sphere model 5 times. So what, we got 8 words out. And by the time the 8th words come out, Toon is saying the celestial sphere model is blah, 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 through the top of you. You cowards. You literally can't bear to have a flat earther talk to you. You can't bear even hearing them talk to you. You can't bear to engage in conversation with a flat earther. It's too painful.
A concentric sphere around the globe. There's no...
Why am I hearing Toon explaining things? Yeah? So in addition to half an hour Ruhif, we need now Toon, rather than his flat earth guest, to waffle on at us, the audience, do we? Oh, do we now, Toon? This is your chance when you've told him 4 times that it's his chance to talk.
Because there's no concentric sphere around flat Earth.
This doesn't seem like it's your chance to talk. Was he lying to you, it seems, John? Because he's told you 4 times it's your chance.
Yes, it has to be a lie. There's no other way around it. He told me it was my chance to talk, and he would never let me speak.
Toon, you're a liar. You're just a scumbag. You're a disingenuous scumbag, lying glurf. Yeah, you keep telling your guest it's his turn to talk, and then we're hearing your voice. So you're a liar. There's no other words for it, is there? Liar.
Earth. I don't know what you're talking about there. But
he's not talking. You're talking. Yeah, you're inviting your guest to talk, and then we're hearing your bloody voice.
It doesn't matter.
No.
You agreed to show how celestial navigation...
No, we're just hearing what is being dictated to the guest that he should be saying. I see. How interesting, Toon.
Works for your model, and you have specific numbers.
He used my model. Why would I need to do that?
No, he didn't.
Why would I need to do that? He used my model. He used my model. The celestial sphere model is a flat plane model. He used that.
He didn't use a flat plane model.
It admirably.
He never used a flat plane. But John, please,
he did.
Which step of the
celestial sphere model is a flat plane model?
You're saying that a sphere is a plane?
He used my model.
Whoa, hold on a second. You are saying that a plane is a sphere?
No, the celestial...
No, he made it abundantly clear, you utter retard, that the utilization of the celestial sphere, as per the demonstration in Ruhiv's presentation, is a flat plane, quote, model. That was what he just said to you. Was it for the fact that you were waffling through the top of him that you became retarded in between him telling you and your brain comprehending the words that came out of his friggin' mouth? What is your mental malfunction, man? I don't get it. You think that when he says that he utilized the celestial sphere model, that means he's saying flat means sphere? No, that means that you have a mental incapacity where you dropped on your head. Because nobody in right mind would delineate that conclusion from what was said to you, regardless of the amount of heavy interruption that it received. Even us listening with you interrupting would never come to the conclusion that he's saying flat means sphere. You are unbelievably stupid, McToon. There's a good right you've got a reason to fear us. It's because you're stupid. That's why you are in fear of us. You're a coward because you know how stupid you are. Hey, John.
No, Nathan. Sorry, pause. Pause a second before you press play. No.
Pause me?
Toon knows.
I will. Pause.
Oh, sorry. Toon knows, he's fully aware that what John is saying is correct. This is why John could not get any of these people to accept his challenge for so long. I think it was like, I'm saying 3 weeks, but I think it was more like 3 months, if I'm not wrong, that John had that challenge out there. He knows that what John is saying is true. So he's trying to bring things into some kind of comical absurdity, right, as some kind of a defense. No, he knows that what John is saying is true, that Ruhif invoked a flat plane 5 times to come up with his globe calculation. He knows that. And that's what he's saying, what he's saying. Thank you.
Sphere model has a flat plane that the angle measurements are derived from.
Oh, well, then show the geometry of that, please. Go ahead. Yeah, share your screen and show the geometry of that.
The celestial sphere.
I've done that in my
celestial sphere, demonstrating that geometry, though. Why would I demonstrate the geometry that's being demonstrated within the celestial sphere? That's stupid, isn't it?
Well, your opponent's utilised it already. So, again, it's between a rock and a hard place. It's like if you decry it, you're decrying your globe Earth friend's utilisation of it. And if you accept it because it's flat. It is flat. It's what you're using. It's no ifs, buts, or maybes. But he's now saying, rather than I'll put myself between a rock and a hard place of decrying this, that the globe Earth proponent Ruhiv has used, I'll say you demonstrate the geometry of it. Like, why?
Yeah, that's a red herring. It's a chaff and redirect away from what he knows to be true. That's what it is. Rather than me, Toon, accepting it and saying, okay, he uses a flat plane. Rather than me accepting that and stating that, I'm asking John to prove that it uses a flat plane, something that I am aware of already. So it's very dishonest to ask that.
Okay, well, we're only, 5 minutes worth of John being on the show, and we've got 90% Toon. Probably had almost as much Ruhif as we have John.
kitchen.
Go ahead. This is your chance.
Okay.
That's 5 times you've been invited to talk.
He never would play my kitchen video where I demonstrated
did that in my
what
kitchen.
they were
Hold on,
doing.
let me get a video for you.
He wouldn't play that video.
I believe I left a comment on that video. Something along the lines of, you've demonstrated perfectly why celestial navigation doesn't work on flat Earth.
So did you get to give a colour commentary to Ruhif's presentation? Because you just saw it in your presentation, you're getting your video together, right? When Ruhif was short pause in the middle of his presentation earlier on in the stream, were you able to just give colour commentary randomly, like Ruhif's now doing?
No, I'd refuse to. I was going to let him get it all out, you know. I wanted him to have his fair chance to speak. I just wish I'd have been afforded the same.
Congratulations.
Hey. Hello?
Hello?
Hello. He asked, Booger Eater asked, when did Rufy use the flat earth first? The moment that Numpty from Down Under cast his gaze over to the sextant, because you, as a globetard, must deny the very existence of the instrument. You McBooger-eating McMoron. That's when. Because it's an elevation angle measurement device. You can't acquire elevation angles off a globetard. That's when. The whole foundation of it. You McBooger-eating McIdiot.
Perfect. On that note, I'm going to say, if you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.